My name is Amber Leon, and this is my presentation on technology affordance and cognitive theory. What is technology affordance? Technology affordance can be explained as a way users view and use technology based on the layout and features of the programs they are needing for whatever purpose the technology program fulfills the user's needs. The term affordance derived from J.J. Gibson, who took an alternative approach from a cognitive approach to an ecological approach, which stressed the human scaled version of objects, attributes, and patterns of energy that provide perceptual information about each of them. In the text, they use the door handle as an example to explain the affordance. This example states that when someone goes to grasp a vertical bar, the hand and arm are in a configuration from which it is easy to pull, but when someone contacts a flat plate, pushing is easier. The reason we can perceive the affordance of the door handles is because the attributes relevant for grasping are available for perception. To explain the difference from affordances and perceptual information is helpful in understanding the use of affordances. Perceptual affordances is information that is available from an existing affordance. Hidden affordance is where there is no information available for an existing affordance and it must be inferred from other evidences. False affordance is where information suggests non-existent affordance which exists upon people mistakenly try to act upon something. And lastly, correct rejection is people usually not thinking of a given action when there is no affordance for it nor any perceptual information suggesting it. How is technology affordance theory used in Stewart's study? So, in this study, you understand what is social media affordance, what is social media, and how can social media be used. So, in Stewart's theory explains that even though social media is a highly studied topic, there is still not enough information to understand how social media may afford to students and also how best it can be used in the classroom. Stewart focuses on offering opportunities for widening and interacting audiences and the implication for learning and literacy practices. Social media refers to any technology that facilitates the dissemination and sharing of information over the internet. Social media affordances encourage people to interact beyond their immediate and usual audiences. Unlike traditional projects being done in a walled classroom, social media can allow for more audiences to participate and for the students to connect to other students in other states/places that they wouldn't have access to without the use of social media. The students are able to use resources that social media can offer them like videos, pictures, and text, giving students a more diverse way of learning than just using traditional textbooks that have not been updated and that only focus on that one time frame. Social media is always being updated with current information that is not focused on just one time frame like the ones in the textbook. Multimedia learning. So multimedia learning has three subparts: cognitive load theory, dual coding theory, and working memory model. Multimedia is supported by three assumptions: visual and auditory, limited processing information, and coherent mental representation. So, when learning modules include media, the learner will be presented with graphics and words that are either spoken or written. The learner's cognitive system processes graphics and text through their eyes, also known as the visual channel, and they process spoken words through their ears, also known as the auditory channel. Once the learner goes through this process, they are able to place new information in their mental modules, which is their internal long-term memory module. How is multimedia learning theory used? And Nito and his fellow theorists study. So here you can see where it have database management system, and metadata. Here you see on-screen text for text group, and here we see auto narration for auto group with auto narration. So now that we know what multimedia learning is and how it's connected to the cognitive theory, we can look into how multimedia learning theory is actually used in the study. In this study, they are trying to see whether multimedia learning has any effect on how students process information that they are given. Nito and his fellow theorists wanted to validate the multimedia learning principle to show the various instructional content that will be used in connection with multimedia learning processes. They need both the modularity principle and the cognitive structures to ensure the effectiveness of multimedia learning experiences. This leads to the 4-component / instructional design module to ground the design of their multimedia lessons with the attention to the goals and the cognitive load theory. The database lesson consists of a visual illustration with on-screen text for the text group and the same visual illustration but with audio narration for the audio group. So this just tells you the difference between on-screen text and auto narration for audio group. So here you can see where in this picture it tells you, so this is a blowhole, this is a beak. Now for the text group, they would just read it independently. For the audio narration for audio group, this one will be presented with someone speaking it as the learner listens in. So the difference is that this one will be independent and this one will be with the help of a narrator. So to continue with how is multimedia learning theory used, in this chart above you can see that the first hypothesis 1, A and B, are actually rejected, but the hypothesis 2, A and B, and hypothesis 3 are supported. This is because the internal consistency analysis of the retention test yielded a Cronbach alpha of 0.604, which is too low and needs to be above a 0.6 value. To what extent do the findings in each study support or oppose the proposition of the theory? In Stewart's article, the conclusion of the study was that there are still many questions to ask on whether or not social media can offer students and teachers any affordances in the classroom. The text also states that even though there is good potential shown about using social media, further research needs to be done on students' literacy and learning practices while using social media in school. In Nito and his fellow theorists' article, they conclude that audio-enhanced presentations were more effective than just text. The audio group students were able to finish the test more quickly without compromising the level of difficulty, which showed that they were less cognitively taxed. So here you can see where audio or text. Well, just like what I had just presented to you, was that the level of difficulty, which showed that they were less cognitively taxed, meaning that they did not have cognitive overload. And it turns out that audio enhanced presentations are better made and can help students, especially the ones that are more of a visual learner. So here are my references for the information that was presented. This concludes my presentation on technology affordance and cognitive theory for Module 2. Thank you for listening, and feedback is much appreciated.